I'm looking at cash stuffing planners this week, and I bought an A6 planner from Amazon that, spoiler alert, is actually personal size. I'll be taking you through how to spot the differences between A6 and personal size in this video, and I'll be giving you some ideas for setting up your own budget and finance planner. Stay with me to find out about the free printable and resource page for all of this too.
Have you heard of cash stuffing? If you have, then this video could be for you. One of the reasons I'm doing this is because I get a load of people who have bought a ring planner labelled as an A6 cash stuffer planner and wanted to get stuff for it. Unfortunately, they tend to be labelled really badly, and they don't have an A6, they have a personal planner instead. So I've bought one. And the purpose of this video today is for me to have a look at exactly what you get with one of these, and to look at, well, just maybe some better ways of putting it to use for you. I'm going to show you some tips for how to set it up, and I'm also going to show you what sort of things you could put in there as well to make it just that little bit more functional.
So let's have a look at what we've got in here then. So this is how it arrived. No box, just like that. So let's see what we've got. This is like an artificial leather. Feels kind of as you'd expect. I've got a bit of a magnetic clasp there, but some of them didn't have that. And inside, well, you can hear like the foamy kind of filling in between, which not so keen on. Right, let's have a look at what we've got. So you've got a couple of wallets here, so you can put your things inside there. And we've got some card holders, which if you're using this for a budgeting planner, that is really useful, isn't it? We've got some stickers, got some labels. Let's see, yeah, a couple of sheets of labels. We've got a little ruler, little snapping ruler. And I'll come back to those in just a minute, hang on. And we've got some labels for the headings that you might want on your wallets. And I think this is the main thing that people buy it for as well. This is the actual wallet inserts. So there we have it. And let's have a look at these for a minute. Right. Okay, so we've got a budget pack of inserts here, so you can write down what you've got. Oh, they're quite thick. They're like card. So we don't get that many. They are the same sort of headings. They are very floral. And yeah, so that's what we've got. So that's on that side. And on the back we've got more of the same. I suppose you don't need that many of them actually, do you? Because there's quite a few lines on each page. So that's what we've got there. And then we've got the wallets, which if they are in the binder like that, you can see those are gonna poke out the side like that. Right, so they're fairly small rings on this. I suppose you don't need to have loads and loads of inserts, but it's something to be aware of, I think, if you're going to be using something like this. And then we have, looks like those aren't punched, but it is, don't worry, you just have to poke it through. And it is quite satisfying to do that. You have to just be a little bit mindful that they do fit on the rings nicely, because I have had some of these before and they were a little bit too snug. I know I had some from the shop and the rings just weren't quite right. Not the rings, the holes weren't quite right. Right, there we go. So we're supposed to have all of those wallets. I'm not going to go and punch them all through, but you get the idea. So you're supposed to have your budget inserts and then your wallets, and they've got like a little zipper, so any cash that you put in there should be nice and safe. They're quite thin actually, which I prefer, as you can kind of get more in there. Right, there we go, that's what we've got. A6 then is a standard paper size. If you've watched the previous video I did on this, you'll know that already. But just to show you then, so this is an A4 paper, and a really easy way to check if you're an A4 paper user is A6 is a quarter of A4. So even if you are not an A4 paper user, but you do have A5, you can check because half of A4 is A5. So that is the size that you would get in an A5 planner. And then fold that in half again. I'm trying to do this as carefully as I can. I am not an origami master. So if I fold that in half again, that is A6. So that should fit on there like that. So that is our A6 page. So A6 and personal are completely different page proportion, different holes. So you can tell at a glance from a photo because A6 will be quite like a squat kind of rectangle, whereas personal is that more elongated page size. It's got a really narrow page proportion. But another way that I tend to look, I get people send me photos of their planners so I can see whether A6 is the one that they actually want or not. I tend to just glance at this gap in the middle of the holes. So A6, from first glance, the holes tend to be quite close to the top of the page edge, and also the gap in the middle visually is smaller than this one here. So I tend to scan and just see what that size is like there and there, and if there's like a decent space between the rings in the middle and like a decent space at the top and bottom, it's personal. And if it's more like it fills the whole page, then it's A6. But as you can see, these holes are definitely not compatible. So let's see what size we're actually working with here, shall we? And what I would definitely recommend, if you have one of these planners that is labelled as A6 and you're maybe not sure, I would definitely download this. So I've got an A4 and a US letter version. I've got the A4 version for my paper. If you print it out at 100%, it will be the exact size that you need. So we're not going to measure the cover itself. Those are completely dependent on what brand you get. So the outer cover is not useful for us. What we're looking at is the pages that you are actually going to be writing on. Those are the things that are standard, or at least should be standard. There are standard holes that different planner sizes use. So that there is kind of fixed for different page proportions. But unfortunately, some manufacturers are a little bit more flexible with the actual page sizes that they use. So if I place this on here, we can see that it's the right height. You can see that again, the holes are in the right size, but they've made it narrower for some reason. So it's not quite the same as a personal size page. What it is not is A6. Look at that. And it is labelled as A6. It is very clearly labelled as A6. It's not. And the reason I've done this, I spend so much time trying to explain to people that the sizes are not compatible. Look at these holes. Can you see? There is no way that that is going to be compatible between an A6 and a personal size item. So understandably, people order what they think they get, which is this. They order the A6 size, and what they actually need is this instead. So that is so confusing. I really wish that places that sell these would get their act together a little bit and just label them as they are. This is closest to a personal size. So yeah, that is so confusing. So grab yourself a copy of this and just check if you've got one. Hang on a minute, let me show you the page I've put together to go with this video. All of the information I'm going through is on there, as well as the printables for today too. There's also a really useful resources section on the website too, with size guides and all sorts of tips, so go and have a look. Okay, so I've had a think and I've come up with a bit of a setup idea then. So it may surprise you to know that I'm not using these. And also, do you know, I think the reason why it's so tricky sometimes to identify the correct size of these is that they're just not a standard size. So if you're going to try and find that online by measuring the page, you're just not going to get anywhere. So let's get rid of those. We just had that one type of insert anyway, pretty much just was a standard budget sheet. So I think we can do a little better than that. So I'm going to put those over there. Now I've got these lying around because I'm going to be taking some photos for a bit of a shop update today. So I'm going to use these, and coincidentally they match. What a happy accident. That is amazing. So I'm just going to stick these in here. I would always recommend, if you're going to use any kind of structure, to put those in first. It makes it a bit easier to see what you've got. So okay, I've got an inbox dashboard here for those kind of notes and things that I might like to just add really quickly. So I'll probably just add some like paper, just line paper or something in there. And I've got 4 main sections. Now I've just been having a look at what I've got already done, and I've just got a bit sidetracked, as I always do. These things always snowball. So I've just made some new inserts to go with this. So I've got some payment trackers, I've got balance trackers, I've got a savings log, I've got an online refund tracker, an order tracker, I've got a monthly budget and a weekly budget, and I think that covers everything. Probably doesn't, but I can't think of anything else right now. So let's see then. I think because these tend to be like the cash stuffing planners, I'm gonna just put like a bit of a placeholder 1 at the back. And with that, I think I would have, depending on whether you are a weekly or a monthly budget person, I've got some budget stuff here. Now I'm going to go by monthly for me. This isn't going to be my planner, but I'm doing a bit of a resource page for the website. So I'll be taking some photos and doing some stuff with this. So I'll take a few of those months there, because these are quite small rings and a pack of those is just going to be a bit too bulky. So with these then, you can see I've got a money in, a money out and remaining, so you can write in what you're planning on spending, how much for, and then you can tick it off each month if you manage to meet that, and then that hopefully will coincide with any cash envelopes you want to have at the back. And you see here it fits quite nicely with the stuff you've got already. Okay, so what other sections then shall we have? So we've got, I think we'll have one for online shopping if you're anything like me. Good lord, I'm terrible with online shopping. So again, I'll just take a few of those. So some order trackers so you can see what you're expecting, and some refund trackers, just because some places aren't that quick if you're getting a refund. So I'm going to put that in this third one here. And then if you are keeping a track of payments on cards or that kind of thing, then these are really good for that. So you can tick off what you've got and like when it's all come out. Alternatively, if you've got stuff over the month that you know is definitely coming out, then it's great that you can just write in to see what you're expecting and then the date that they're due and then when they have actually come out or not. So I'm going to add a separate bit in here for savings. And I've got on this one, I've designed this one this morning, I really like this one. This one has got, if you want to save for something in particular, again, I'm going to take some of those out because we don't need a whole set. I was thinking it might be an idea to have one of these per thing that you're saving for. If you're saving for like a trip or like a course or something, then you can write down your payments over time and identify the increments that you've got, so you can monitor and colour in which kind of increment you're at. And then I think actually in the inbox that might be a good place for the overall balance trackers. I'm going to keep quite a few of those, because with these, if you're anything like me, you have lots of transactions throughout the month to keep an eye on. So I'm going to put that one there. And I might just add a little page marker in that one so I can quickly flick to that one when I've started to use it. So that would be my recommendation, and that hasn't taken up a huge amount of room in that, so you've still got quite a bit at the end there for those cash envelopes. And to be fair, you've still got a lot of, not the camera, you've still got quite a lot of other space if you wanted to add any more of those inserts, or maybe some notepaper at the front as well. So I think that's what I would have. So we know about structure then and sections, and I was thinking about this because if you want your tabs to be identifying sections with the envelopes themselves, do you know what? I think you're going to find it a bit tricky, because let's have a look at the thickness, well, not the thickness, sorry, the width of this. Now, these are closest to, let me get my sheet again. These are closest to the Franklin Covey compact size. Can you see that there? They line up with that one, which isn't a particularly common one. It does exist. You can get inserts that are pretty much the same size. I've also had these in stock. They are pretty much a standard width, and yeah, but it's wider than personal. Now, if you go for personal dividers, then let me just show you against this one. You're going to find that if the dividers are meant to keep your sections separate, you're out of luck, because with the width of the tab, you don't see them poking out against there. So that's just not going to work. Now, you could opt for some FCC dividers here, which are the same thickness, but there's a problem with that, and you can only see it really when you close the planner. See, it looks like there's plenty of room, but because of the rings, when it is closed, can you see where that comes to? That comes to the very edge. Now, if you have here a tab poking out, it's going to poke out beyond the edge of your planner, which I absolutely would not recommend. And unfortunately as well, with these wallets, they do tend to be, if I put that on the bottom so you can see a bit clearer, they do tend to be a bit taller than the standard page size as well. So if you were going to opt for top or bottom tabs, you wouldn't get that much sticking out. So my recommendation would be, if you are going to have some sort of monthly or some sort of categories going on, I would keep that separate to the actual cash stuffing system, which is why I've got my budget stuff at the end with these, not some sort of monthly dividers with these in between. You can do, but you're not going to see those tabs. Now, your options are, if you wanted to do that anyway, you could always have some clear dividers and then just think, I'm just going to separate them and have your own headings and stick some of those on. Or you could always, if you've got yourself a monthly budget mapped out and you just wanted to do it a bit more economically, or just to save space a little bit, you could always get some page tabs. So with these, you can just literally add them onto the side of your page. They fold over, but you can see the shape of those are a bit of a crazy shape. They fold over to give you a little tab, so you can always write those on as well. So again, just sections are up to you, but I would recommend going for personal size and to have that structure at the start, and just know that the width of these isn't the standard personal size, although it is closest to it. And if you were thinking about shopping around for inserts, yes, you could have some FCC sizes, but personal is a really common size, so you're going to have no problem finding things in this width. Your free printable can be found at sortstuffout.co.uk. It'll help you work out what size planner you actually have and give you some useful size comparisons. Make sure you go grab your copy using the link below. Thank you for staying with me. I really hope that it's been useful, and if it has, I hope you consider sharing this video, commenting or hitting the like button. It really helps the channel by showing YouTube that people actually want to watch it.